Tonight, I just wanted to speak with all of you regarding one of the main issues that you would face in product environment and in technology companies. Mostly in companies that they are within the range of low to mid maturity and they are high growth, especially B2B companies. The idea of this presentation is basically to help you to find out some key points that the next day you are behind your desk, you question yourself if there is a blocker, whether that blocker could be removed with solving that collaboration issue or not. A quick intro about myself. I'm a design leader and UXR leader as well. I do advise for startups and new businesses too. I do coaching. Aside from everything that I do, I've started my design journey officially since 2000 as a visual designer, and then moved towards digital advertising up to the leadership at that level. And then since 2010, I moved towards product design and UX, both within the environment of enterprise and the startups. The big part of my career path has been global, and that give me basically the opportunity of exploring and practicing different levels of challenges of collaboration, either impacting from a reboot standpoint, from different cultures, from different types of works, and many more. So the idea of this presentation is to share some of those practices with you that hopefully helps you to be more effective in your day-to-day activities. One of the obstacles that I want to expanding it here is within the technology companies, especially the high growth ones, teams are putting a lot of effort, but in most cases it's in silo. So what happened is everyone aimed for a faster delivery, but the range and the risk are very high because there are overlaps in works. There are overlaps on requests, questions, communications. There are unclarity about what the problem is, and many more other things. So I'm trying to here open up that, how collectively the primary stakeholders could focus on the same goal, what areas they need to align, and then bring it all together, how to sustaining it at the end. So aiming for the same goal, it means that when there is a topic that needs to be solved, do we have the same understanding of that problem or not? There's a feature, there is an enhancement item, there's a dev defect, whatever the name of that topic is. Does dev, design, and product have the same level of understanding on that or not? In most cases, they're not. Because again, they're working in silo, they're lacking communications, they're using several different ways to communicate, there are location issues, there are some people working remote, some people working at the office, and so many other factors. But there are ways to solve that. And one of the most important ways that could help is basically picking up a methodology. The baseline of that methodology, which I love and I always advocate for it, is design thinking. Design thinking is something that even governments are using it, even science labs are using it. It is something that is based on human mentality and human psychology. And human, by default, works better when they were brainstorming with one another. So if you consider looking or aiming for the same goal from the very beginning, the very first step is discovery. If all these three teams basically work together and run that discovery, that would help them to level up their understanding of the problem early on to the same level. And it gives the problem the opportunity that these teams could look at it from different angles, from tech feasibilities, and from design standpoint, from product requirement or product strategy standpoint. And at the end of the day, when things get sorted out early on, it helps the production process much better, and it makes it faster as well. And it minimizes the risk of shipping something to the market that haven't been tested enough. I wanted just to explain this term design, but I have it here as well, because usually design is being misinterpreted. Either it's an outcome that is mainly focused on the interface, or it's something that only design team is responsible for it. But technically, product design is based on several different decisions. And those decisions not necessarily are being made at design team. They are being made at business level, at product level, at dev level, from different angles. Design team bring them all together, sort them out, and creating a meaningful journey and turn that into tangible user experiences. And development is going to developing it and shipping it out to the market. So considering that definition, as a design leader, I always advocate to make sure that this cross-team collaboration is sync enough and everyone has the same understanding of the terminologies, of the issues, of anything that's happening. It helps the decision making better. And once the information is at design team, designers could basically work more efficiently on those problems as well. This way of collaboration, and then cross-team collaboration, not only help minimizing the risk, but it gives the whole product system to explore different alternatives as well, rather than focusing on one thing, because the time is not being efficiently used because of so many overlaps, and that led the whole system to being delivery driven, and work just, okay, let's meet the delivery deadlines and all of those stuff. Considering that we're choosing this methodology, we bring everyone to the room, either we're doing a design sprint or a casual discovery, or it's getting done through different communications with business level people whatsoever. There is another frame outside of that which holds this core segment of our conversation, which that framework is how the leaders of dev, design, and product are working together. Once that gets synced, that gets translated into different levels of their respective team, and everyone gets synced and working in harmony. Alignment across objective responsibilities and accountabilities is one thing that I put a lot of effort at high growth companies to fixing it. And the reason is when you look at the roles and responsibility of different team members, such as developers, product managers, product owners, designers in different disciplines, UXR, and all of those stuff, depending on what's the culture of the company, whether it's product led, whether it's sales led, whether it's dev led, in so many different variation of them, you would see that there are overlaps between what a product manager does and a UXR is doing, what a product designer is doing and a product manager is doing. Developers sometimes get involved and they are making some design decisions or even some product requirement decisions because their goal is mainly, faster delivery, making it more efficient in terms of their technology. Product has their own kind of things, and design has, always getting sandwiched in between. So in order to avoid all of those, getting objectives, responsibilities, and accountabilities done in partnership among the leaders is crucial. Once these leaders come to the common ground of defining all of these roles and responsibility in collaboration, then everyone has a clear picture when it's their turn to participate, what they're supposed to do. That doesn't mean that they're not doing anything else or they're not jumping in to help each other whatsoever, but that's a framework basically to make sure that people are doing what they are good at rather than focusing on something that is not the area of their expertise and letting the things that they need to do behind their to-do tasks. So that partnership it's very important. And then connecting the dots together, that togetherness, thinking with one another about those items is very important, because again, the leaders could look at the topics from different angles. Maybe there is something going on at dev that the design leader needs to know because it impacts the whole development process. Maybe there is something in the market that product management is working on it, and it impacts the whole product requirement. Design needs to know it, because design always look at the bigger picture because of the scalability, because of the globalization, because of the growth, and so many other things. And communicate often and consistently. That channel of communication is crucial. First of all three teams really need to have one set of tools in terms of communicating with one another. Having separate communication system, it's not sustainable, especially in high growth companies that people are coming and going often. It creates a very repetitive, inefficient kind of communication system, that same questions being asked several times. It creates different levels of frustrations and so on. So investing and building a strong partnership, it really helps the first core item that I mentioned on the previous slide as well. And now how to sustain the whole things that we just talked about. It good, we have the methodology, we know the framework around of it, but that's not it, that we have it, we basically establishing it and living it there, it's going to operate by itself. It needs constant basically caring and maintaining. In terms of doing that, we need certain levels of guides. These guides included the systems, included protocols. Depending on the structure of the team, it needs documentation for content strategy. It needs protocols for UX. If, for example, you're working on a product that it's an existing product, but it gets improved, there are different stages within that improvement journey. That you can't just implement a design system. You might need some quick guides in order to pass that transition. And onboarding guides. Onboarding guides, it's really helpful. It helps basically new team members to get on board faster, manage their expectations, and there are perfect resources that anytime that they need, they could just reference to it. Put the guides in a place that everyone has access to it. And over a course of, every 6 months, just look at them, make sure that, it meets the business, it meets the demands of the team members, and so on. The second item is alignment discussion. It's like the name, it's technically talking about misalignment. Earlier within the presentations, Rodolfo mentioned the design system. Design system is a perfect thing to help the company grow and scale in a meaningful way. But a lot of company has this design system in a different, levels. Some of them are not fully integrated. Some of them are partially integrated. Some of them still using UI, and so on. If it is a global team, if it is, an existing team that has some part of legacy, some part of new in GUI, and all of those use cases, you would need to communicate constantly. So the nature of these meetings, depending on the structure of the company, complexity of the product, where their maturity levels are, I usually recommend at least every quarter, but as efficient as it could be, you could tweak the frequency. It could be every other month, it could be every month, but the goal is from product, from development, from design, UX are sometimes inviting senior leadership. People are bringing misalignment that they've noticed throughout that quarter. It is a free form kind of conversations, and the idea is to keep each other's informed that, okay, we have all of these things, but does it really work efficiently within the system? if there are some glitches, it needs to be addressed immediately. Sometimes when you have these meetings, the outcomes are significant, and it creates this panic that, oh, we don't have time within our roadmap to implement this. Don't worry, the intention is not that you guys are going to implementing it tomorrow. The intention is have a full scope of visibility to what's going on and know the issues before users find out the issues, and then find out the time to squeezing through the improvement components that goes to the roadmaps. Training and workshops, it basically levelize the understanding of team members, especially when it's a global team that people work, in different offices. Constant training and workshops are very important in terms of keeping everyone's knowledge steady and in one level. One of the things that I do with my team usually, and designers love to do that, is they're monitoring and observing the whole, ecosystem of future releases and everything, their day-to-day activities. And then they notice a pattern of challenge within the process. They're picking it up, we discuss it, okay, whether it's a lacking of training issue, whether it's a technical issue, how we should solving it. And if it's a training issue, that we find, okay, it's getting worse. Before getting worse, we just, create a quick video and then sending it to the entire team and ask the leaders to making it mandatory that everyone take their 20 minutes of time to make sure that we are all doing the same thing. Again, we are all aiming for the same goal. Measuring and tracking, it must be. Any way that you could measure within the company, you should do it. Doesn't matter you are a dev leader, product leader, or a design leader, or even the team members of these three pillars. Measure and tracking helps us to understand the patterns, helps us to identify challenges before it creates a significant negative issues on the business or on the customers. Or at least keep us, ahead of customers, that if there are challenges, we know it before they know it. Team health check, it's the most important things, because at the end of the day, we're all human and humans are running the ship. If the nature and culture of the teams are not healthy, then it doesn't matter how amazing the plannings are. If people cannot in a healthy environment work together, it doesn't matter how amazing the rest of the things are. There's always a lagging point there. Check on your team members frequently, especially when it's a global team. This is very, very essential to make sure that everyone has everything that they need to go. Everyone are inspired, motivated enough, and so on. Learn and iterate. Technology is a very evolving environment, and things get changed quickly outside. It requires syncing, constantly. And product design in particular, it's an environment that you learn by mistakes. Repeating the mistakes, that's not what I'm talking about, but making mistakes and having that culture and environment of letting people fail and learn and run, it's very important as well. This article that I put the line below, I recommend you to review it, but I love this line of it. That's why I put it here. Trust cultivates purpose, purpose generates energy, and altogether improves collaboration. So bottom line is that trust culture within the team, the direct team, and then other teams that bring everything together. When this collaboration basically gets synced internally, you would see a significant improvement on the outcome as well. It has so many impacts. The intention of this presentation was just to share with you on a high level, but if you were interested, by all means, I've been working on this topic for several years. You could just offline reach out to me through LinkedIn or whatsoever, and then we could elaborate about this in more details. Final notes, if you're a design leader, be patient and be kind to yourself. It's a tough journey, especially for high growth companies and B2B environments, especially when the team is larger. This challenge of establishing a synced cross-team collaboration culture, it takes time. At times it gets frustrating, at times it gets tough, but put the system there, get the buy-ins, and consistently communicate that and let people practice and then get synced, throughout the time. And advocate. Any opportunity that you find within the conversation with higher up, within the conversation with your peers, within the conversation with your team members, even create that culture that any team members basically advocate for, that collaborative understanding of the problem and making the problem solving a collaborative task as well. I hope you all found something that next day you're working on an item, you question yourself that do you have all the information you need, or you're lagging some part of that information in order to make things happen. And especially the components that related to design and design teams, because I know that there are a lot of developers within this presentation, within the audience. Consider that design component as an outcome that demands several different decisions. If those decisions haven't been communicated properly with design team, you would see the lagging user experience as well. So if you fix that decision-making collection and passing it through design, then we're going to have a seamless user experience at the end as well. Thank you. And the best way to reach out to me would be my LinkedIn. I'll put it into the chat. And happy to connect with you all. I do coaching for the designers, design leaders. And I usually spend sometimes on Fridays to do some community coachings as well. So thank you very much. Back to you, Adam.
Awesome, Medea. Thank you so much for that. Really, really grateful insight there. It looks like we've I think if you're a product manager or in product design, I think across these three topics today, extremely insightful, a lot of strategy and insight there from Medea. If we want to certainly open it up to Q&A, if we do have any questions, I do know we have Lewis there, who is a UX director in Calgary. So it was lovely to see you kind of make it in at the last minute there for Medea's chat. So yeah, we'll certainly open it up to any type of questions. I guess I'll kick things off. I would love to pick your brain, Medea. One of the topics, we've done a couple of products event in the last kind of 3 or 4 months. And one thing that's kind of come to the surface is that this product space has evolved in the last, I don't know, call it a decade, kind of started with the SaaS boom. And then it was like, oh, we need a UI designer. Oh, we need a UX designer. Now we need a product manager. Now we need a product designer. I'd love to kind of pick your thoughts on how you've seen the evolution of product management and product design and UX and UI over your career particularly, and maybe what are the key things that have changed in managing these teams and businesses?
Yeah, sure. Well, I came from visual design. I was a visual designer, and I, get into this evolution myself. That's basically how I feel it, and I know it by heart that, how was the evolution since 2000. There are two things. This is how I'm seeing it. Okay, there is one thing that is the market and industry that is so obsessed, extremely obsessed with terminologies. Mm-hmm. And there are different definitions: UI designer, UX designers, UX technologies, and then product designers. And then, the design itself has some room to buying it to technology company. Okay. Mm. I think the industry is so distracted with this glossary and terminology rather than simplifying it, making sure that it's easy for everyone to understand. The way that I'm solving it is basically when I join a technology company, usually they're a high growth company. I assess the environment, that what is their maturity level, what is their understanding from the design, and then see their product that, okay, what type of design discipline they need. Okay. Do they need a product designer 70% focus on UX design? If it's a heavy data, you know, kind of product, and then they would need people who could do UX even with their closed eyes. Okay. Or is it a B2C that, you know, lots of visuals or data visualization and all of those things involved? So they needed product designers with focus more on the UI side and less on the UX side. But I'm a design leader who is not a fan of calling them UX or UI designers. I usually hire full stack product designers, and I train them with UXR as well, UX research, because product design without insight means nothing. Nowadays, businesses are spending money and customers spending money on something that works very well, not looks very well. So that UX component demands insight. Without insight, without understanding that, you know, why we're doing this, how it sits within the technology, how it sits within the market, without this component, that product design, you know, means nothing. So it is important for me that within the team, product designers have a solid understanding of UXR, and then, you know, again, depending on the industry, depending on the product, then I'll pick, you know, whether it needs to be more focused on the UX or not. The UI is always, you know, one piece of the pie, because it's what people see. Okay, we cannot eliminate that component. And I appreciate, as a designer, I appreciate, you know, those elegant designs. But even if you look at Apple, which they've been bragging for their design, they're more at the software design right now, how it works, you know, all of those UXs that they are adding, it gets us obsessed to play with it more. So if we have any designer, or if we have any design leader here, my basically advice is, do not get distracted with what's happening in the market. Focus on the company and assess that, okay, what does this product and this sets of users really need? And then hire people accordingly, and then, you know, train them and do the rest of the onboarding things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Medea. And it's just, I think your content and the other two presenters tonight, so awesome. And I just love putting on these events and here, I just like take it in like a sponge. I wish I had better memory retention, because if I had like a photographic memory, I'd be like a genius, the amount of people that talk at our events, and if I could retain half of that. But yeah, again, super grateful for you kind of stepping up tonight. We've had 50 plus people attending. We've got had over, I think it was about 20 odd on LinkedIn that have been viewing as well the live stream. I haven't even had the chance to check Twitter. But yeah, again, Medea, really, really grateful for your time. Once again, happy International Women's Day to Medea and to all of our lovely ladies in the audience. And once again, thank you so much for stepping up and being a part of the event tonight.